as we're going through this year, be able to execute. Because look, I think at the beginning of every year, there's this pressure that just comes from the natural sense of human nature that we want to be effective and we want to execute, right? We want to achieve, we want to have results. And the anxiety can be real for many at the beginning of the year. And together with anxiety, there could be this just natural, overwhelming pressure that we can put on ourselves because it is a brand new year. Now there's this sense of, well, I gotta do it this year. It's another year. One, we can take the attitude of it's another year that is in front of me, a year that went by that I did not achieve X, Y, and Z, which means this year I'm 1 year older. Time is getting away from me. Time is lapsing. I'm getting older. I'm not getting younger. Therefore, this year's got to be the year for me. This year, I have to achieve this. I must do this. I've got to get the results that I want. That's one perspective. That's one attitude we can take. Another attitude can be 1 year has passed. I've gained a lot of insight. I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot because I've learned from the experiences that I've lived. And now I have another year that I can implement the things that I've learned so that I can grow and get closer to the outcome of life that I am desiring. You see, both of these perspectives will take us somewhere. They will lead us somewhere. But they're not both the best attitude or the best perspectives to have. Because one will inevitably create frustration, will produce, not create, well, in the same sense, but it will produce frustration, it will produce anxiety, it will produce negative emotions, it will produce an unhealthy state of mind, state of emotion, and also actions. Because that's when desperation can come in. That's when this self-judgment can come in, criticism, being critical on self, condemnation, judgment, which several months into the year can cause us to either drift away slowly or can cause us to start to become against ourselves. Meaning now I'm in this internal conflict, mind, emotions, and actions that are now bumping against each other. Because as humans, we do not work well in a negative state of mind and in a negative emotional state. We just can't. We just can't function effectively, right? We're talking about effectiveness. How do we become effective? How do we achieve what we desire? And more importantly, how can we just execute, right? And be effective in the doings that we choose to take on each day. And so as we're evaluating, because I still believe that as this year gets started, oftentimes we're focusing on getting off to the races. And we're just like, okay, all these things that I need to change, they got to change and they got to change quick. And let's just get this going, because there's this sort of joy and energy and positive state because of a new year or a new season or a new point in time. But I believe we should continue to reflect and continue to look inwardly and continue to go deeper into everything that happened last year and be able to look at, okay, what things did we do well last year? Take a moment to keep reflecting, because if we can focus on the things we did do well, we can carry those in to the new year. And together with the things that we did do well, looking at, okay, what things, not that I do bad, but what things can I improve in? What are the areas that I'm not executing well in that I would like to refine or get better at? We can then evaluate and look at, okay, these things that I did well, can I take some of these things that I did do well and incorporate some of these into the things or the areas that I want to improve it, that I can start taking action in to improve? Or we can look at, in these things that I want to improve, how can I start being more intentional and setting intentions that will help me execute in these areas? Because we got to look for things. We have to help ourselves, my friend. We are very good at being against ourselves by focusing, I'm not doing this good. This needs to change. This sucks. This is terrible. Why is this still here? Instead of being a team with myself or with yourself, and look at, how can I start to create things to help me? Intentionality and having more attention, which is together with awareness. We've got to put more attention, give more attention, have more awareness to being intentional. Intentionality. If we shift our focus this year to being intentional, in all the areas that we would like to improve in, it is going to make a drastic change, and it is going to help us speed up. Not that that is the objective. Speeding up or doing things faster should never be your objective. What should be our objective is being intentional in executing what we are chasing after, executing in what we're setting ourselves to be intentional on. And in that, the compounding of that will inevitably accelerate things for your life. But the objective should never be, how can I do it fast? No, the objective should be switched and looking at, how can I be intentional and execute in this action, in this task, in what I am setting intentions to execute it, or what I'm looking to be intentional with. So I did a recent podcast, which will be released next week, where I really break down the concept of intentionality and setting intentions. Today, because you are a part of the community, and this is something that is important for me, I am going to give you some insight before that podcast comes out. That's the benefit of being a part of this community. I can share with you things before anybody else hears it. So when we're looking at intentional, being intentional, let's look at what the definition says about being intentional. It is an aim and a plan, according to the dictionary. So if we go to the last portion of the definition, it says it's a plan. Well, we understand what a plan is, right? Steps that we can create to follow, an action plan that we put together, things that I want to execute, things that a certain routine, or things that I put together and structure that I can follow. That's a plan. But excuse me, what really caught my attention was the first part of that definition, which is it's an aim. Now, when we're talking about and looking at an aim, well, that in itself speaks about a lot of things. That means before I can aim at something, I first have to have a target. Which means that if I have a target, it's something that I am choosing. It's something that I am calling out. It's something that I am selecting. I'm putting into a category. I'm categorizing it as that's what I want in the midst of so many things around me. So I am calling it, I am choosing it. I'm saying that right there is what I want to be intentional about. That's my target. When you then find your target, and the reason why this is so profound and so important is because as humans, we do this every single day. This is how we literally were raised. And then these are the things that we did since a child. When we look at the actions of a child, what do? Well, they're pointing, they're saying that right there. And based on what they're pointing to, they're then looking at how are you going to respond to that? If they point to the street, then they turn at whoever's with them. They're asking, is this something I should be doing? And as adults, maybe we don't necessarily always point to things, but we are pointing, we're choosing things when we speak. Hand me that red or blue mug from the table. We're calling it out. We're choosing it out of so many things. That is what I need. That is what I want. I'm choosing that. That is the target. That's what I'm aiming at. Bring that. And so once we make our target, we find our target. Now, when we look at aiming, well, that word, there's a lot of things that are found in having to aim. Aiming talks to me about extreme hyper focus, having attention, being present. Because if there's a target and I'm looking to aim at it, it also means calibration. I've got to scope it in. If we're looking at a shotgun or any type of weapon, a rifle with the scope that's at a far distance from us, well, we need to be able to scope it. We need to be able to know how to calibrate that so that we can really find that target. It talks about being present, being still. See how it's not about being all over the place, anxious, and let's just really quick, let's just do it. No. It's about calm, being still, present. The calmer you are in your emotions, the more still you are, you're able to take control of being precise. You're at attention. You can control what then can happen next. Versus if you're distracted, you're all over the place. Your emotions are everywhere. There's everything happening. There's tension, there's anxiety, there's pressure on yourself. There's this lapse time. We got to do it quickly. We just have to execute. Let's just get it done. Whoa, that's too much. That's not going to help us be intentional, because that's just going to take us to just do it. Let's just get it done. Let's just get through our workout. Let's just get through whatever we can find. We just got to eat. Let's just eat. We're not living. We're just going through the motions. No. Intentionality means I got to be present. I got to be aware of my surroundings. I got to be aware about everything that's happening here, because it's talking to me about precision. And that, my friends, is how we should be taking on everything that we are doing. And this takes practice. This is something we got to learn to do. Because as humans, we don't have that natural tendency. We tend to believe that we can multitask. We tend to believe that we have to do a lot of things to be good, to be successful. We're taught that if you're not executing in a numerous amount of things, then you're not good, you're not successful, you're not being accomplished. But if we can become humans that are being intentional, that have intention in the way they speak, intention in the way we think, meaning that if I want to change my thoughts, I need to be intentional about what thoughts I allow to come in. Which means that when a thought comes in that isn't in line or isn't aligned with the thought that I am choosing to want to have based on my identity, then I have to have the awareness and the intentionality to catch it and say, no, I'm not going to allow it. You see, we are good at setting goals. And many of these goals are unrealistic. They are based on emotions. They're based on a motivation. They're based on a good feeling. And that's okay. Setting goals is good. But I believe setting intentions is a lot stronger. Why? Because now intentions isn't talking to me about motivation or a good feeling or emotions or something that sounds good, because I'm concerned that, or I'm more interested in how others are going to view me or how others are going to hear the goal that I share and make them sound good and sound big, that they can say, oh, wow, it's good. Great, John. Awesome. You're a very achieved person. You're very, uh, um, you're, what's the word here? You're an overachiever. Great job, John. No. You see, intentions has to do with identity. When you're intentional about something, the things that you are choosing is because you are specifically choosing them with intention, which means that that choice is who you are. It is in line with who you are. It is your identity. For example, if this year, let's say, you want to be more intentional about your sugar intake, fantastic. I think that's a great goal, but more importantly, it's a great intention. So now, if I'm going to be intentional about the amount of sugar I am intaking, well, let's analyze this and look at a person that overconsumes sugar by nature. Is that person, if he continues to do that choice, understanding that the choice he is making, the overconsumption of sugar impacts our health, it impacts our brain, it restructures our brain, it changes the formation of the brain, the functionality of the brain. It then creates almost a layer like it's like a it's a coating that is placed on the brain that literally now starts to interfering with the neurons and how those neurons connect and fire. Which is why when we're looking at those that overconsume sugar, they're at risk to have more mental disorders because of that. Alzheimer's is linked to that. So if we're looking at that and there's a person that is over consuming sugar regularly, well, we can define that person as an unhealthy person. So now if you are choosing to be more intentional, meaning I am going to be at attention, I'm going to intently look at how much sugar I'm consuming, I'm going to reduce that amount, I am going to eliminate the amount of sugar, the consumption of sugar I am taking in. Well, that choice is no longer one that is unhealthy. So now that's speaking to me of your identity. That's speaking to me that you are choosing, you have chosen to be a healthy person. So therefore, the choices you are making, they're deliberate, they're specific, they're hyper-focused, they're intentional because of who you are. And based on that, it is the life that you are choosing intentionally to create and craft and design. See, my friends, that's why being intentional is so critically valuable. Which is why I want to invite you this year to focus on being intentional. Far too many people I hear that say, well, I don't know, I just overate. Well, that means you weren't being intentional. You weren't giving enough attention to the consumption of food you were putting into your mouth. Oh, well, this isn't working, so I just Who cares? Let's just sabotage this whole week. Let's just go on a binge. We're not being intentional about what we have chosen to commit to. And it has nothing to do with the results. Because something isn't working or not giving you results, you're going to stop and you're going to sabotage yourself. Because when you're being intentional, you are being meticulous. You're being very focused on the choices you are making, which means that it requires us to bring that intentionality or the things that we're wanting to be intentional about to the forefront of our consciousness. It's got to be here because, yes, if we're then not bringing it to the forefront, meaning giving it attention, making us see it and remind us, and it is real to us, then it's going to be very easy to not be intentional. What's the opposite of being intentional? Well, expecting things to happen on accident. And if we're living by expecting things to happen on accident, then we are living in a very dangerous state. But more importantly, like we're living in a fantasy. We're living in an illusion of thinking that, okay, that if I just, work out a little bit, if I just occasionally make good food choices, if I just occasionally take care of my health, that I'm on accident going to become healthy or going to have the life that I want. No. We can't live looking for things or expecting things to happen on accident. I invite you to let's start becoming and living as people of intention. Being intentional about everything. Understanding that when I'm intentional, whatever it is I'm targeting, which is why it's not good to set resolutions, because resolutions, they're linked with emotions, they're linked with motivation, they're linked with a feel good feeling, they're linked with so much hoorah that really doesn't get you to execute and to really be cognitive and be intentional about the things that you're choosing. But if we can choose and decide and change that into, okay, if I want to be more intentional about my activity, give you another example. And let's say in the mornings, you want to start going for a walk. Well, if that's the case, then now we want to look at, okay, what should I start to do, or what can I start doing to help me be intentional about walking every morning? That might be, we got to commit to going to bed early the night before. Because if I work in the morning, that means I might have to wake up a little bit earlier than I normally do so that I can have the time to walk in the morning. So that means I've got to be intentional about the time that I go to bed at. Which means I can set reminders to help me. If I have a partner, I can use that person as an accountability to say, hey, can you help me? I'm wanting to go to bed at this time so that I can wake up 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes earlier so that I can walk. So that's one way that I can help me. I can help myself. Or I have a friend that I can say, can you be my accountability partner? I want to be in bed at this time. Can you help me? Hold me accountable to that. Can you help me be intentional with this? You see, intentionality, my friends, does require more attention. And sadly, as a society, being present and having attention isn't really important anymore. We've all heard that attention. What was it? It was to be here, present, at attention, to listen, to be observant, to take in. And it's going to require more attention from us. But we got to understand that when we're doing these things, what is the reward here? What is the benefit here? Because intentionality, it also means purpose, which is making the purpose and the reasons why we want to be intentional about this thing, right? Which is why your belief and your identity of who you are, who you want to be is so critical. What does that mean to you? What are the benefits of that for you? Because when these are very clear for you, then the intentionality of what I'm choosing to do is going to be a lot easier. So back to that example, it's maybe we can even put things around us that remind us. 9 p.m. bedtime, for example. You put in the restroom, you put in the kitchen. Oh, but that looks tacky. What's more important for you? You walking in the morning so you can be healthier, you can be stronger, you can be better for yourself, a better parent, a better human, a better husband, a better wife. Reduce your health risks, feel stronger, have more energy. We can also have things that shut off. If we start biting, there's lamps that we can buy, set in our room and set them up on a timer that'll literally shut off at a certain time. See, whatever it takes, my friends, you know yourself better than anyone. And it's looking at what things can I do to help me be intentional about what I want to start executing. And then another thing that person can do is the night before, she puts her clothes on the side of the bed, or they put their clothes on the side of the bed or on their nightstand, their workout clothes. They have their shoes out, their socks ready. Or what I used to sometimes do, I would just sleep with it already and just have my shoes there on the side. I would set an alarm, and an alarm that there's so much we can utilize technology so much. There's so many different apps that, again, if we have some of these lamps, we can set up an alarm that when that alarm goes off, the light also turns on in the bedroom. There's also barcodes that we can set alarms with that when the alarm goes off, you have a barcode, say in the kitchen, that you have to go to scan so that the alarm can shut off. Otherwise, it won't shut off. Other apps will make you put in a math problem or whatever it is you want to create so that it gets you up. And I recommend something that gets you out of bed, because if we can get you moving, you're going to be more awake. You're going to wake up the lymphatic system, and you're going to be more receptive to just staying awake versus having the phone on the side of your bed. The alarm goes off, you can shut it off and then just put it back down and go back to sleep. So now that you're up, you have the clothes there. Well, now it's up to you, my friends, to be intentional about what you committed to and said you wanted to start doing. And that is where that meaning, that is where that purpose drives got to activate you. You see, how much does it mean? What is that meaning? And not to put yourself down and to be judgmental, to be self-destructive, but in the meaning of, in a positive sense of what it truly is for you. To then look at, all I have to do is just take action today. Not look at the long distance future sense objective of the total that you want to achieve. If, say, your goal is to walk 5 miles a day, we can't look at, oh my gosh, but it's just a 5-minute walk. Oh, I have to then get to 5 miles. Screw that. Just today. It's about executing today. And intentionality is going to help us because it's now focused on day to day, one action after another, one intention after another intention after another intention after another intention. And so we do it. And for some, time can be a negative aspect for them. meaning setting a time frame of how much they're going to walk or how long they're going to walk, or setting a distance, a number can be negative for some because it can create tension, it can create pressure, it can create stress, anxiety. If you know that's you, which is why it's so important to be in tune and connected to know how you function at your best. If it does cause that to you, then don't put any time. The objective here is to walk in the morning. So some days that might be 2 blocks around the community. Sometimes it might just be to the stop sign and back. It may look different each day, but the point is to execute, to be intentional about it. Now, if time doesn't bother you and it actually motivates you, then great. Set a time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, then you can start increasing that time. So it's about exposing ourselves to the things we are saying we want to be intentional about. Setting up the clothes in the morning is exposing you to the task you want to execute in, to the intention you are setting. Having the light go off, having the accountability part of it, all of that is exposing you to your intention. If sugar, like we talked about earlier, is one of the intentions you want to set for yourself this year, consume less sugar, well, then we have to do the opposite. We have to stop exposing ourselves to so much sugar, which means the one thing we can do is go to your house right now, the pantry, and eliminate all the things that are sugar in the house. You got to stop exposing yourself to sugar. That's one way to help you be intentional. Another thing is to start looking at things. Okay, well, great, I removed everything, but then what do I do if I get a sugar craving? Well, we established that instead of going to sugar when you have that sugar craving, we got to make another choice. So maybe for you, it could be instead of going to the sugar, I'm going to eat a fruit instead. Great. So what does that then mean? Well, that means now I have to buy more fruit. I'm going to be intentional about that. I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm going to buy more fruit. But that's not enough. We got to then expose yourself to more fruit. In the same way, before you were exposing yourself to sugar, which is why it was just readily available, you had Hershey's bar here, you had some cookies in that cupboard, you had some ice cream in the freezer, you then had some other snacks in the drawer by your bed. Like you were literally surrounding yourself with sugar and you knew it. And it's not like, oh, I'm gonna hide it so I make it challenging for myself. So I don't know where they're at. You're gonna find them. Best way is just don't bring them in. So now that we bought fruit, well, that means I've got to expose myself to more fruit, which means I got to put fruit in the same way all over the place. So it reminds me. I put it in the kitchen. I put it in my purse. I put it in my car. I put it in my gym bag. I put it on my nightstand. Maybe I start buying some decorations that have fruit and I put those around the house. You see, I'm exposing myself now to the new thing that I'm intending to want to start doing. And then we look at, well, what other things can be leading me to fall into temptation of sugar? If it's driving through the same street that is going through 10 different fast food places, well, is there another route that we can go? You see, my friends, it's about looking at what things can I start setting up for myself to help me be intentional. It's not about a result. It's about the intentions that I am committing to that will then produce that based on my belief in my identity of who I am. We've already been touching on that. We've been talking about that. That's critical. That's number one. We've got to change our belief. We've got to be real with our identity. We've got to establish that, who I am. Based on that, then we start to look at, well, what intentions does this person do? Based on those intentions, we start then setting up in daily intentions and things that help me to be intentional about what it is I want to start being executing. And one of those things we want to look at are removing distractions, my friends. I'm going to share some tips here that are going to kind of allow us to help, in a sense, remove some of these distractions. But really, it's up to us. We've got to be honest with ourselves and be real and truthful with ourselves and look at what is a major distraction or what are basic distractions. What are distractions? If your phone is a distraction, then we've got to be more intentional about that phone. There's tons of apps that can block you from different sites, that can set time limits for you, that can literally reduce the amount of time that you're on social media. And if it's a phone, get a freaking case, lock it, give that key to somebody, or put that key away somewhere where you have to be challenged to go and get it. Maybe you need to receive calls from somebody. Okay, great. I understand. Maybe that's not what you need to do. But we've got to look at what are some of these distractions for. But TV is a distraction. Get it out of your bedroom. Get it out of the house. If Facebook is a distraction for you, look, I've got some advice. Go to your phone right now, pull it up, and look at. There's a setting there that you can go to that will tell you how much time you're on each app, how much time you're spending on your phone. I had conversations with people that are spending 7 to 8 hours a day on their phone. Imagine what you could do with 8 hours. Now, granted, maybe 2 hours of those you really need it. Maybe you speak on it, maybe you're texting because they're responding to you. But even the times that you text, when somebody texts you, you don't have to respond immediately. It's your phone. If somebody calls you, you don't have to answer it when they call you. You can always call them back. How intentional are we going to be about our life this year? So distractions is one thing we really got to look at. Can we remove those distractions? One, what are they? Two, how can I remove them? And three, what do I set around me to help me not fall back into those distractions? That's one tip that is going to help us to be more intentional. Another thing, forget a perfect plan. Stop trying to be so perfect. Perfection doesn't lead us to greatness. We don't have to be perfect about everything. Intentionality is going to get us close to that. It's going to lead us to that, but it's not about being perfect and having the perfect plan. It's more important about executing. Another one is focus on what's important to you. How do we determine what things we want to be intentional about? Well, we focus on what's important to you. We've talked about the five questions, daily questions you can ask yourself. What do I want? What do I need? What do I desire? Fourth one, what is important to me? And the fifth one, what am I grateful for? But that fourth one is critical because what's important to you? You're unique. You're special. You're beautiful. You're beautifully, wonderfully made. You are gifted. You have something that nobody else has, which means that what's important to you is not going to be important to somebody else. There are 7 mistakes we tend to fall into in life and at the beginning of the year. I also did a podcast for that. That's going to be released in the next couple of weeks, 2 weeks or so. And one of those is comparing yourself. Stop. Let's just look at what's important to me. Oh, but it's not as big. It doesn't compare to others. It's a little lame. So what? It's important to you. Embrace it, love it, appreciate it. And then the next thing is what we've been talking about. Look, we got to focus on doing one thing at a time. Multitasking doesn't exist. The brain can only do one thing at a time. Problem is it breaks things up so fast and it functions so fast between one thing to another that it seems like you're multitasking, but you're not. You can only do effectively, efficiently, the best, only one thing at a time. So when we're being intentional about things, that's what intentionality is. I'm going to do this one thing. If I have a target, I'm not going to be trying to hit all the targets all at once. If we're really looking at aiming. So let's look at, as we come to a close, 10 really quick things that we can start doing to help us reduce some distractions. But more importantly, look, I really want you to reflect on that. Really take some time to look at, well, what are some of these distractions and how can I help myself remove them? Heading right into the big one for many of us, putting away your smartphone and putting it on silent while you're working. Put it away, put it in a drawer, lock it if you have to, and put it on ringer. And if it does ring and you need to check it, you can go grab it, whatever. Set intentions as to maybe 2 times that you check your phone. That might be in the morning and in the afternoon, or 3 times, whatever that is for you. Look, we can figure this out, but let's set something up so that you're not constantly grabbing that phone. Number 2, when you're checking your email, set a time that you check your email. There's 2 ways here. Set specific time. Okay, I'm going to check them at 10 a.m. and then I'm going to check them again at 4 p.m. and that's it. And then set a time limit as to how long you spend checking your inbox. Maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. And then look at, do I need to respond to this email right now? And if the answer is yes, then focus on those and only respond to the ones you have to respond to. The others, you can get to them later. Intentional with your time. Another good one to help you reduce or eliminate distractions is to keep reminders. We've been talking about that, right? Exposing yourself to the things you want to be intentional about, the things that you're looking at executing. I had somebody that I was talking to that they want to learn to be more quiet, be more still, and eliminate some of these distractions. So I told that person, put around yourself in your home, put some signs that say shh, or that say quiet, please. You can put those on your computer. You can put those around your house. You can buy maybe some picture frames that say that. You can make them nice if you want. If you're into details and just having decorations in your house, look, we can get creative, right? Second, number 4, get rid of negative influences and replace them with some positive ones. That might be, we got to stop listening to the wrong people or to people that are pulling us down, that are setting us back, that are dragging you, that are constantly bringing their drama to you. Look, we don't need those people. We might love them, but loving them doesn't mean we have to always be with them and always listen to them and always be there. We can love them from afar. There's a Spanish saying that goes translated. It says, I want you, but I want you far. Or I love you, but I love you from afar. So let's replace some negative influences. And that could be people. That could be, again, things that we're watching that are negative, things that we're hearing that are negative. Doesn't always necessarily have to be a person. It could be things around your house. Negative influences that remind you of the old person that you are. Get rid of old clothes. Get rid of clutter. Get rid of things that are reminding you of they're just being negative influences, reminding you of the old life. Number 5, let's move more. Let's be more active this year. That could be in the form of exercise. That could be in the form of just Activity that could just be in the form of just enjoying life, moving. Exercise, movement impacts our emotional state, our clarity, our mind. It impacts so much of our body. Movement is medicine to the body. We did a wonderful podcast episode with Christy Barker about understanding your body. If you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. Follow my podcast so you can get all the information that is going to help you live that life of freedom through health, my friend. Number 6, look, let's be real and let's accept what is. What is real? What is true right now? Maybe today you are unhealthy. Maybe today you do have certain sugar addictions. Maybe today you are overweight. Let's accept them, but not accepting them in the state of I'm going to stay in this condition, but recognizing them, being honest with ourselves to confront that, to then say, okay, let's do something about this, right? Allow yourself to acknowledge what you're feeling. Allow yourself to experience it, to recognize it. If you're angry, allow yourself to be angry. If you're sad, allow yourself, but don't stay there. Number 7, take a moment each day where you can just be still, be quiet, and allow yourself to just recharge and kind of reboot yourself mentally. This is one of our biggest distractions, our thoughts, which is why we've got to be intentional even about the thoughts we allow to come in, the thoughts we allow to linger, the thoughts we allow to influence us. Number 8, ask yourself questions that can bring freedom or inspire or set you free in a sense. Now, those might be tough questions. Like what just happened right now, if you get angry, you get triggered. Or you get this urge to want to, I don't know, be aggressive, overeat, binge, go into sweets. So, hey, stop. What's happening? What just happened? What is going on? Ask yourself some powerful questions. I am a firm believer in questions. I always bring questions to you. And I'm going to close with 3 questions today. Number 9, do the opposite in a common situation in your life. So for example, if you've always done X, try and do the opposite. If you always avoid when confronted with something, what would happen if you leaned into it and you embraced it? I promise you, you're not going to die. It's not going to kill you. If you tend to want to go to food when you're emotional, instead, go for a walk, go for a run, go exert, go remove your focus from that. And then the last one, I've always said this, be kind to yourself when moments are challenging, when you stumble, when maybe things don't go right, when maybe you don't make the choice you want to make. Be kind to yourself because we're humans and we are on a journey of discovery. We're in a process of discovery. My friends, this is a lifelong journey. Embrace it, enjoy it, live. Fall in love with the journey, fall in love with the process, and live your life. You have one life. You've been gifted this amazing life from God, who sent his son Jesus to die for you so that today you can have a life of freedom, of redemption, having intimacy with God. Enjoy it. Talked about God wants you to prosper, to be in good health as your soul prospers. He wants you to be healthy. Now you receive that. Choose that for yourself and let's go out and live that life and have fun and be joyous. As I close, 3 questions for yourself that I'd love to leave you with. We talked about some of these questions last week on reflecting the year, but now I just really want to close this to get you to evaluate some things that sometimes we don't evaluate. And these 3 questions are going to be these. Let me find them here in a second. Here we go. 3 questions. Did you grow emotionally compared to last year? Did you grow? Were there instances that you found growth on how you handled your emotions? Number 2, did you grow spiritually? And then the last question here is, did you grow towards physical development? Evaluate those. The answer is yes to all 3. Great. Let's keep moving in that direction. The answer wasn't yes. Then let's evaluate. Let's reflect on them and let's look at, okay, what could have hindered that? What interfered with that growth? What can I do differently so that this year now those areas can start to grow? Because look, health is about all. It's not just about physical health. It's about physical health, mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, complete full. That is my goal for you. Thank you so much for connecting today. Free Friday trainings. Look, I want to grow this community. So share this with someone. I have a mission, 1 million people that I can impact and that I can help live a life of freedom through health in a simple, smart, and sustainable way. And I can't do this alone, my friend. We're really looking to grow this community this year. So please help me spread the word. Share it with your friends on Facebook, on social media, with your coworkers, with people that you know. Tell them, hey, jump on every Friday. This is really helping my life. And then if maybe they can't make it to the live training, share with them my YouTube channel, because I put the replay on the YouTube channel so that people can listen to it. Let's help each other as I help you get healthier, help me impact more people and grow this community. Also, share my podcast. Listen, You're Not Defeated. You can find it on all podcast stations, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeart, like all of them. You can find them there. So please share those. And if you're not following already, follow. I also want to grow my YouTube channel and grow the podcast. And I am asking for your support with that. So thank you so much, my friends. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, you are incredible. Go out, crush it, and live your best life. I will see you next week on another Free Friday training, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I love you all. Take care. Peace.